Hey guys, it's Josh from Throwing Power, and today we've got Brett Hardeman from western suburbs of Melbourne, and wanted to bring Brett on basically for what he's done for throwing out in the West and how he's grown from a little athletics club up to 20 throwers, and we'll get chatting about a bit more about his background, but. Yeah, Brett, so tell us a bit about yourself because you're probably the best person to introduce yourself. So what's a bit of your background?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Basically, I did Little Fs as a 9-year-old for 2 seasons down at Newport in Williamstown there, and father said, no, enough was enough. You need to go and play cricket. So ended up playing cricket for 20-odd years for the one club and found that a lot of fun. And we had 2 kids, and daughter was looking to do a sport around 5 or 6 years old, and discovered Little Athletics. We'll give that a try since I had a try, and then basically from there on, we went down to Altona, and from under 6 till up until last year, she'd been competing in Little Fs, and she enjoyed throwing. It was one of her favourite events, even early days. And at that stage, there was no throws coach down at Altona Little Athletics Centre. And so I sort of took it on where sort of self-taught, where I tried to get her to just do correct technique and things like that. And as she progressed through the years, she, went really, she's not that, you wouldn't think that if you saw her on the street, you wouldn't think that she was a thrower. She's built like a beanpole. But over the years, she's developed into quite a good thrower, and still developing. And it's just I just enjoy seeing her develop every year and get better. And it's not how many medals you win; it's just developing and enjoying it. And just that's where I sort of got into the coaching side. It got to a point about 3 years ago, and I said to myself, "Well, hey, I met a gentleman by the Shane Bembo, who's involved heavily in Little Athletics as well, and he sort of inspired me to have a crack at coaching. So obviously outside of my daughter. So we developed a little bit of a PR down Altona, and we got 3 or 4 kids for 1 season.
Jeez.
And two of them made states that year, which was awesome. And obviously one being my daughter. And then the next year we developed into about 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
And then the 3rd year we're out to 20, sometimes of a training night, because I got to a point where we run a beginners squad now and a advanced squad. So our beginners would be probably 10 to 15 kids that are just starting out. We're just teaching correct throw and all that sort of stuff. And then our advanced squad would be a lot more 2 or 3 year throwers, probably from under 9 up sort of age to under 15.
Oh, wow.
We had a diverse sort of group where you had kids at different stages. So it's sort of it got a bit of a handful trying to do it all on my own with 20 kids at once, all doing all specialise in different events.
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to say is do you deal with all 4 throws? Do you deal with shot, disc, maybe?
Just shot and disc, and we do jav, but we don't do any hammer, obviously, with Little Fs, but not being a hammer event. So, we've probably branched out more into javelin in the last 12 months, especially at Altona. Now they've decided to start the turbo jav from under 6 and the vortex.
Oh, wow.
So that way, which is really good. So they've put that into their program. So at least we're teaching movement, even though it is not the right implement, we're teaching movement. So when they do get to under 11s, some of the groundwork is done in terms of actually teaching how they've got to stand, where they've got to move. So it's just really exciting that way that the follow-on in a few years to come, what that might do in unlocking someone that might have potential in javelin. So,
and that's really the big thing that you've done down in Williamstown is like you've started from pretty much nothing, and you've been able to grow yourself into two training squads and like how much just you being there and setting it up has allowed the growth of that sport out there, because like you said, there was no throws coach in the past. So is it more people are starting to see, oh wow, this is pretty awesome out west?
Yeah, it's more probably still internally, just in the Altona club. However,
Okay.
in the last 3 or 4 months, it's pretty exciting. I've picked up a couple of athletes outside of Altona.
Oh
Actually,
wow.
one out at Berwick,
Yep.
out your way,
Yeah.
and one from Brimbank. So, yeah, obviously because now we're becoming a squad, not longer sort of under the name the Altona Little Athletic Centre. I think we'll branch out and probably recruit a few more athletes from who knows where, but I'm sure there's someone out there who wants to have a go at throwing. And yeah, I want to see, and I'm not in it for the glory. What I'm in there is to give everyone an opportunity to throw, and who knows, we might have someone out there that can really, really do it. And until you do have, show that you've got a system in place, it's not set up. So you need to really develop a system that everyone can learn. And you never know, someone in the next street might be a great thrower, but we don't know until they come down and train and learn from someone that's had experience at seeing someone. That's what I love about coaching. It's more the kid might not be the fastest runner, as we've probably everyone's heard, but the boy can, or girl can, all of a sudden you show correct technique. And I could write a book on the last 3 or 4 years, like the stories that I've gone through in coaching already. Young girl who won my first Little F state champs last year was amazing. Like to see her develop from I can show videos of her 3 years ago to where she is now. It's
Wow.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's what I love about seeing the kid develop. And obviously the rewards there, which is really good, but actually see someone commit to the process and then respect the process, respect everything part of the event, and also, someday down the track, they're life lessons too. So if you respect, show commitment, you're going to get somewhere in life outside of throwing. So that's why I'm sort of not trying to I'm trying to educate as well. So
that's one thing that I think you brought up so many good points in that. One, exposure to the sport's huge. Like I really do think that in Australia, the exposure just has to happen, because a lot of times people don't know that you can throw, or that you could go and do little asks and go to seniors and go to masters and go to Highland Games, and it kind of can take you to a lot of places. And you brought up another good point that honestly anybody can throw, and I think that's a valid point, that there is a lot of people that do get intimidated by running and come out and have a go. And like with the systems that Brett's put in place and what he uses for coaching is pretty epic. So based off of your experience probably in the last 3 or 4 years, what are the 3 biggest takeaways for young throwers, or for throwers in general?
Well, like I said, I basically, just the commitment to actually train as a purpose. Like, I think that's just a life lesson in the training.
Yeah.
Obviously, back to the respect side of things, showing respect from your coach, squad members, opponents, officials. They're the sort of things that, you might not, I don't want to mention that at training, but it's all being processed as part of the journey that they're doing when they're training with me. And obviously the most important thing that I want the kids to take away is they're having fun. Without the fun, there's no point anyone being there. No matter
and that's a valid point that, it kind of brings into fast results. Like you talked about commitment. I'm sure in three years, like, you got to wait for the progression, and patience is probably one that, you probably unwritten rule is patience. It does take a lot of patience.
It's an interesting one. You say, I've never actually been directly approached or anything like that. I want my child to win in a couple of weeks at a school comp. It's funny you sort of bring it along, but however, I believe that it potentially could be the chance where a kid could turn up and on the back of no training and win a competition.
Oh yeah,
that's what I love about throwing. It's the unpredictability. Even coaching my daughter through the years, the fear was more not knowing how good was the other kid in the school, because you never see him in little laps. Yeah. And that's one thing I love about the event and the sport, because it's just so unpredictable. In terms of the parent, I do see parts of it in not directly in my squad, but I see it around the lines where you do have parents all of a sudden bring their children to Froze training because it's close to regionals and things
Yep.
like that, but you don't see them in part of the process of that development over the years. You see them for that 2 or 3 weeks during the season, and this is why I'm sort of moving into my own squad, because I've got a committed group of athletes and parents that want to be part of a system that, you know, potentially who knows where it might take them, but that journey will tell us down the track. But I just think that if you can provide a system, this sort of 2-week I want to be state champion business, it just doesn't work unless there's that unpredictable win or something like that could happen.
And I think that more comes along the lines like, you know, you see team sports, right? 26 weeks to a season. You know, running's got a big series, and there's quite a few different series, and you know, throwing, there's really not much for competition. Like, you've got your little ass, you've got your schools comp that run very inadvertently. You know, they have a carnival, a 3-month gap. Then they've got like all schools or knockouts, and then they're back on. So there's really no consistency. And I think the one thing is, you know, the systems and the squad, and knowing that you can go and train there on a consistent basis and get growth in the sport, so that you're having a long-term success compared to just having, who knows what happens. And, you know, the child comes and gets this one coaching session or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, is it really going to work? And they really can't build confidence that fast. Like, that's probably one thing.
I think it's more, I see, like, there's occasions where you'll have a youth athlete turn up, or even on competition day when I'm out officiating, I might give an athlete a group a pointer, and one of them will nail it, and hey, they go and tell their parent, and the parent's out there saying, "Oh, when Froze training on?" You know, that's the sort of response you get, and
awesome.
Just by giving that 1 point, and the kid, might throw a massive PB just by doing that, concentrating on that one focus. It's the development where I reckon a system, if you put it in place, they will come, as they, the old baseball term. And I think when you develop a group that really want to actually achieve something out of it and improve, you see them improve. That was sort of my main goal so far, and to have a wonderful group of people down at Altona, and the kids and the parents are right behind the whole journey now. So it makes my job a lot easier. And
I can imagine.
Obviously, just to have that big number though can get quite demanding at times. Obviously, doing voluntary as well.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is that, you know, coming from the US and Canada, and where paid coaching is definitely a lot more apparent. Volunteering is, you know, like, you're putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort. You know, you're building systems, you're buying education, the amount of learning that goes into throws coaching is incredible. And, you know, that whole devotion of time. And yet, you know, like, I work as a strength coach and a personal trainer, and, you know, we get paid, you know, and yet that's sort of a change in the system. And I think, you know, one of the big things I'm seeing is that there is a lot of value in the fact that it sometimes it's going to cost, you know, because you have to get your education, and you've got to be able to grow, and you've got to search different means to get more information, and that could be a struggle. So I think that's a big thing moving forward, is that you know, other sports and other industries, you definitely pay, like gymnastics, and gymnastics is nuts, swimming, crazy. You know, and you pay for specialized coaching. So that's one thing that, you know, I think moving forward, that I really hope that, you know, it isn't based off of volunteer anymore, because the amount of effort and time and program that goes into it is just incredible.
Yeah, especially one thing I've noticed now since November, we've implemented the Irrite system. So that's obviously, those that don't know, it's a TCR, throwing chain reaction system, and we've started that in our squad since November last year, and we're seeing a simplified system really working to the younger age group. Obviously, Coach Eric Johnson in Arizona, who's the founder, was really interested to see how it went with us, and because obviously he has college, high school age up, but he's never sort of implemented it with a younger group. So it's been a really good not experiment, but it's a really good experience for him to find out feedback. And obviously with 21 state finalists back in March, it was a great performance. That was more than 75% of our entries for the club at state level. So our throws was our strongest success, and that was credit to setting up a system like this.
And that's
so I'm just really enjoying.
Yeah, you had a successful season. Field had a successful season at the Commonwealth Games. Like there was definitely some sort of, it should be called field and track nowadays, which.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty awesome.
I was up there, and I was on my feet for quite a few of the athletes, even though the Australians, I was cheering for a few others too, because obviously in these high-tech days, you get to get some feedback off a few athletes here now and then, so it's quite good. So I was just a buzz to take my daughter up to an international competition, because she'd never been to one because she was too young in 2006. So it was a real buzz going up there and going and see the next thing off the list is definitely to go and see a Diamond League meet. That's
big time. And I think that's the one thing that we lack the big meets, and to have those big meets is something where it inspires younger athletes, and it's got to grow the sport. And I think guys like yourself, guys like me, that's the one thing that we have to really try to support, and you're doing an amazing job out there to make sure that the throwers are being taken care of. And the other thing behind it is that you started with throwers of all different sizes. So interesting thing, Magdalene May out of Arizona State. I don't know if you follow her.
Yep. I had a few chats with her recently. Yep.
Awesome. And body type wise, doesn't look like a shot putter,
No.
Like an incredible body that, super powerful and has got tons of explosiveness to it, but does not look like a modern day shot putter. And it's so interesting to see the body types, and you can be all different sizes, literally in the circle or in the cage, and have performance. Like it's unbelievable.
And that's what I love about throws as well. The battle between technique and brute power. Even in little F's level, obviously the experience of my daughter, and there's another girl by the name of Emily Ryan out in Mentone who won two national medals last year. Yeah, not the big, strong build athlete, but tall and lean, and it proves if you've got good technique, you can achieve quite a good level. And again, it comes down to good technique, good coaching, good systems. So
and that's and that's the truth, right? Like I honestly think there so many other sports and so many other things have a lot of systems, and the one thing is that I think from the throwing side of stuff, you've got sort of a generational gap with regards to different coaching and that sort of stuff, and I think Brett, you're doing a great job out there filling that void and trying to find resources and different means to make it happen. The one thing we'll finish with is, who's your favorite thrower? Like Aussie, doesn't matter what event.
Okay. All right. Right now, I obviously love Danny Stevens.
Yeah.
Obviously being Aussie, but I'm a real big fan of Jack Dalton now with his hammer. He was awesome to watch in the Com games. I'm really excited about what he could potentially do. Obviously, Louise being an Altona girl, we're big fan of her. We're obviously, if she's going to watch this or listen to this, we want her down at Altona sometime next year to come down and meet our kids.
Awesome. We might have to arrange that, Louise.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the medal too.
We've had Neb Weatherly down.
Yep.
Yeah, he really did a good day with the kids. They really enjoyed it. Obviously, because so many of our higher profile throwers are sort of interstate, to get some of the younger crop coming through and come down and visit, and just them to see them actually throw one. Like we had Ned throw a shot and a disc, and they were like, wow, like to actually see it live, because they don't get to go to many athletics meets, and to see bring it's real talent down there, and see what someone can actually do. Yeah, that's the inspiration you want to sort of provide to the kids.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, Brett brought up some good names. Like, if you guys are watching this, check out Luis Mendez, Ned Weatherly, Jack Dalton, Danny Stevens. Check them out on Instagram. There's so much social media out there. It's incredible. Yeah. And follow them and see what they do, because like, the exposure is going to be limited. I'll give a shout out to South Australia for their winter throws comp that they've just put on. And they've got about 6 or 7 meets coming up. So maybe go down to South Australia and check out some meets down there in the winter. And then, follow the Throwing Athletes Forum with regards to throwers overseas and try to get some info that way. And Brett, we'll just say thank you so much for your time. It's awesome. I'm sure we'll have you on again. Like,
Yep.
The wealth of information after a couple of years, and you've been through the little ass system. You've been through. Now you're going to go into the senior system. You've got official. Like, we'll probably have you on again and chat a bit deeper into it and into some maybe systems and stuff, and go from there. Yeah, but thank you so much, Brett. We'll have you back on fairly soon, and all the best in Altona. And check out the Altona Throws Squad. Yep, on Instagram. Follow them for any feeds and stuff, and we will go from there. Thank you so much, Brett.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for your time.